Welcome to the Windows and Computer channel. And, well, 5 years ago today, we are Wednesday, July 29th, 2020. 5 years ago today, in 2015, there was a new operating system called Windows 10 that came to market. So, the operating system for Windows 10 was a new way of thinking. We had a Windows as a service. And a lot of people were scared at first because it was free to upgrade for the first year. And a lot of people back then thought about one simple thing. Okay, so after that year, it's going to be a subscriber operating system. I'm going to have to pay a subscription to keep it working. And that was a pretty big, a lot of people thought that. And it wasn't the case. And Microsoft, being Microsoft, was always kind of complicated in explaining things. So this is the first install box. This is what 1507 looked like when you wanted to install it for the first time, choosing your system. This has changed a little, but not that much. But what we call the out-of-box experience of install did change quite a lot. And almost everything that Windows 10 was back then is modified in some way or changed in some way. It introduced something that became a little controversial in the way that it was introduced. Cortana, the famous assistant. In times where assistants were gaining ground, well, Microsoft thought, why not put a assistant in Windows 10? And the problem is that it was integrated with search, and for a lot of people that made them nervous, thinking that whatever you search for, Microsoft is looking at, and it all goes also with the privacy settings and all the privacy that a lot of people thought Windows 10 is okay. It's a snooping operating system. When in reality, every operating system you have today snoops on you. So there's, it's the way it works. And it's just that you have to believe what is being said, that, everything is anonymized, and the only purpose of having that experience is because the assistant, of course, needs to connect to servers to work. But, the fact that you couldn't uninstall it also. But at the same time, some people liked Cortana. I know that some people actually enjoyed using Cortana. Cortana has come a long way. It's changed today, and we'll see that in subsequent videos. The install phase of and experience, I still remember how when I installed Windows 10 1507, first original Windows 10, I was amazed at how easy it was. Windows 10 is the first operating system, honestly, that anybody can install. You just let it do what it has to do. It's so automated that it is really the simplest operating system I've ever seen for install purposes. And that is something that was very nice also. This was what it looked like once installed. If you did a clean install, you had that background with like a Windows logo that has kind of a, some like some light coming out of the window itself, and the basic icons at the bottom, the search box, and so on. That was the original look, and today that look also has changed to something a little more modern, and has been tweaked over time. Of course, the old Edge browser, the original Edge browser before we moved on to the new Edge now, was the browser that Microsoft wanted to have everybody use, and they wanted to have that as a standard. But there were so many things wrong with this. First of all, it was totally incomplete when Windows 10 arrived. It had very few features that actually worked. That was a mistake. They should have waited until it was complete to ship it. The big mistake that I think also is the fact that they made the icon somewhat look like Internet Explorer. From personal experience with a lot of people around me that didn't know exactly what it was all about, one of the things that was apparent is that people thought this was Internet Explorer, and they didn't understand that their favorites weren't there anymore and stuff like that, when in reality Internet Explorer was still there with all of that. But I've seen that happen with people that aren't very tech savvy. So many mistakes have been done with the introduction of Microsoft Edge. And of course today we're having a new version of Edge, a more modern Chromium based Edge. I think as an acknowledgement that Microsoft Edge, original Edge, didn't really work. And that famous start menu, a lot of people complaining about the tiles, not happy with the tiles, and it wasn't super customizable. I mean, you could have some customizing of the start menu and all, but overall it wasn't as customizable as it is today, where it's much more interesting if you want to, tweak the start menu. There's also the introduction of a lot of, apps that people didn't want, like, Candy Crush and stuff like that. And that also made some people mad. Still happening today, but it's when it all started, and a lot of people didn't like that. But it's an operating system overall, and it people were a little mad at certain things, but every time there's a new operating system, there's always people don't remember, because when I see somebody say, well, Windows 7 was the best ever. I was a tech guy when Windows 7 was released. I was helping people with Windows XP and some still with Windows 98. And I still remember that people moved on to Windows 7 were not happy. Lots of things didn't work. Lots of hardware that stopped working. That was one interesting aspect of Windows 10. I think they worked hard to try to keep the compatibility as much as possible with everything. And that was nice. The original settings menu, which is very simple and different from what we have today. And that has changed a lot and has been changing a lot over time also. Kind of interesting to see how it is back then. If I can compare it with my own version right now of all settings, which is the next future version of Windows. Look at that. Even the text and everything is so different. If you look at my start menu, when I was showing the start menu, look at that. This is for 20H2, the next version of Windows. Kind of interesting. Of course, it introduced the Quick Action Center. It introduced a few new features that are interesting. Interesting also is that there was something called the Phone Companion back then. And the Phone Companion was supposed to link to your phone and was completely replaced by Your Phone, which was a much better app anyways. But it's funny to see how this version feels old, actually. Looking at how it is, looking at the start menu, it feels like an old operating system. We've really moved along with the changes. I can tell you that. It's very, very interesting. So that was a quick look and my personal comments and observations on the first version of Windows 10, 1507. That was the number of the version. And then there was a minor update that didn't change much, and it was 1511. That was released in the fall, but it was a minor update, not a lot of changes, a little bit of tweaking of the start menu, but not much. And that's where they introduced us to, there'll be 2 updates a year. That made a lot of people go crazy, still do today. I'm happy to learn that in the future, starting next year, one update a year will be the norm. But also, we'll see in the next video how that had a problem starting just the first year of Windows. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this little special feature celebrating the 5th anniversary of Windows 10 today, Wednesday, July 29th, 2020. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.